Hi, this is Shira Goldberg with the Addiction Show. I'm glad you're here with us this Friday. We are here every Friday, 12-ish p.m. live. Today, I am honored to have with you someone I respect very much, and I'm just tickled Fuchsia that she could be with us today. She's Ashley E. Phillips, E for extraordinaire.
Oh, thank you.
And she is an executive life coach. She's a recovery coach. She's involved with Smart Recovery, and I forgot what capacity, but I remembered telling you, you're just me when I grow up. Because everything you checked off, I was like, oh, I want to do that. And we have to congratulate her because she is the brand new president of Recovery Coaches International. So, Ashley, thank you
Thank you
so much
so
again.
Sure, it's just delightful to be with you here this afternoon. I am the new board president of Recovery Coaches International, and I'm just really excited about all of the different things that are happening in the whole field of addiction and recovery, the new science, the new options for people who have been struggling with addiction or challenges with alcohol. And it's, if you are, I guess, in some ways unfortunate enough to find yourself facing such a challenge, this is really a good time because there are so many new resources available. It's exciting.
It really is. I was just telling you before we started the show, there's so many people, professionals included, and it's actually surprising to me how little they know of alternatives for recovery. We are very proficient for the most part, or at least the AA model is well known, but there are so many alternatives that would might be suitable for someone who is not necessarily in accordance with AA, or they're shy, or they just want
Or they
to.
just don't want to come. They may not be in a place where they're ready to raise their hand and say, "Hello, my name is fill in the blank, and I am an fill in the blank." That may not resonate appropriately for them. The neat thing is that a recovery coach, such as myself, such as you, we can actually work with clients to help them navigate all of these resources that are available in recovery. We can almost act in the role of a case manager, if you will, as people are trying to figure out which of the self-help programs is a good fit for them, or if they want to actually choose one self-help program and use it in conjunction with another one. They can actually use them in integration with one another. With a number of my clients, I actually work with their psychologists, with their psychiatrists, and with families, as together they create a space where recovery really can be celebrated.
Absolutely. I think long gone are the days, or at least they're fading quickly, where we just focus on the individual. I mean, unless we lived on an island or in a vacuum, that technique might prove successful. But we really have to learn how to utilize our resources, which include our support system, and sometimes that's the reintroduction. If you are someone who is newly sober or newly in recovery, you still have to, for the most part, interact with your family, and you might have caused some, or most likely caused some turmoil with your significant other or your family or your friends. So, those healthy relationships that you want to maintain, but you do need to do some damage control while you're learning coping skills. That's another excellent reason why a recovery coach excels in that capacity. It's kind of a catalyst for rebuilding those relationships that that have been just neglected for a long time, and how to do that.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, especially if someone has been to treatment, to a 28-day or a 45 or even a 90-day treatment program, a lot of times families have the expectation that when you leave treatment, you're going to be fixed, as it were. And you know, that now that you're sober, or now that you're clean, quote unquote, everything is going to be better, and you're going to re-enter the family, and everything is going to be exactly the same, or similar to, or better than it was beforehand. And that's not exactly how it works. In fact, Beverly Conyers has a wonderful book out called Everything Changes. And you know, the expectations that if you take away the drink or the drug or the process addiction, whatever that might be, that that is going to take away all of the problems is really unrealistic. And there are many circumstances where individuals have to heal themselves, they have to heal their relationships. Everyone needs to create a safe space for having clear, calm, compassionate communication with healthy boundaries.
Absolutely. Everything you said, of course, I agree with. I think that communication to help build and repair those relationships that are supportive and healthy, that you would like to continue while you're in recovery, is a skill. It's challenging, and just like recovery, you know, this is an area you don't have to do alone. You don't have to just figure it out yourself. It does require some work and some dedication, but these are relationships that are definitely worth working on. And a recovery coach is the one who can help you learn how to do that through showing you what you can do for yourself.
Yeah, you know, on my webpage, which is ashleyphillips.com, I talk about how a good coach meets you where you are, and they help you get where you want to go. So we can meet people when they're just thinking that they might have a problem with drugs and alcohol, and then help them make some decisions going forward, look at what their options are. You know, is treatment, is rehab something that might be a good choice for you, or are there other options? For anyone who hasn't seen Ann Fletcher's book, Inside Rehab, it's a wonderful resource that I've recommended to a number of clients and families and people in our Smart Family and Friends meeting as they're trying to figure out how to best help a loved one, or for people to help figure out how to best help themselves. So the recovery coach, or a coach in general, and at RCI most of us are professional coaches, but we are encouraging peer mentor coaches to join with us as well. We try to meet the person where they are, figure out what their values are, what their goals are, help them articulate that with a new sense of clarity and intention, and then create a set of specific short-term goals that they can then accomplish and achieve and be held accountable for, so that they start creating a sense of success in the short term with their eye on the big picture. And I just can't tell you what rewarding work this is. I really do love my job, and I love working with other coaches because we're all in this together.
Yeah, and I really am a proponent of collaboration. I think if you know what my name is and what I do, that would be the third thing you would know about me. Because recovery coaching is I think it's relatively new. It's so new. In fact, most people aren't really sure what it is, and it's often equated with being a sponsor, which is not true at all. We're all in the continuum of recovery, and just as a sponsor is an option if you choose to do that, so is having a recovery coach. But can you explain the differences, I guess, of just so we can be really clear on that? Because no matter how many times I think I clarify that point, people are like, "Oh, so you're just a paid sponsor?"
Oh, interesting. I've heard that, but I've never had that happen to me. And I think you're right. I think that's a widely held assumption out there. Here's the thing: a recovery coach does not have an alliance with any particular program of recovery. The recovery coach is really meeting you as a complex, whole, strong, possibly with possibly with some areas of vulnerability, that whole person that you are, whatever that's like. And the recovery coach, I have information about 12-step. I have information about smart recovery. I have information about women for sobriety. And I also, as I get to know the client, I have a sense for whether or not a particular self-help program may resonate with them. Certainly I can work with them to go and try a variety of different self-help programs and see which one feels like a good fit. So the recovery coach, unlike a sponsor, doesn't have a particular allegiance to a particular program. And in fact, we work with people's sponsors. So if someone is working a 12-step program and they have a sponsor, that sponsor is the one who takes them through the actual 12 steps. That's the person with whom they do their 12-step work. The recovery coach is someone who's helping you look at all of the aspects of your life. Yourself, your goals, your recovery goals, your relationships, your professional work, your academic career. They have sort of a big picture. And however, if you're doing step work, you would be doing that with your sponsor, not with your coach. Your coach wouldn't be stepping in to do that with you. They would send you right back to your sponsor to work any of the steps. And of course, as a coach, I have people who aren't working steps at all. They're involved with Women for Sobriety or SOS, or in my case, I work with quite a few people who are involved with smart recovery, both on the individual side and also on the family and friend side.
That's wonderful. Tell us a little bit about your participation and your involvement with Smart Recovery. What are you doing out there?
Well, I have found SMART to be very effective, and I actually work with some people who are using both programs, who are using a 12-step and a SMART recovery program. But SMART is basically a program that, unlike a 12-step perspective, does not require that you identify yourself as an alcoholic or addict. SMART is science-based. So the reason, for example, that we don't require anybody to find themselves as a alcoholic or addict is because of all of the research on self-fulfilling prophecy and on labeling theory. I talked with a guy recently who had been calling himself an alcoholic for about 35 years. And when we explored that a little bit more, it turned out that he was a man, he was an employee, he was a husband, he was a brother, he was a grandfather. And when he started naming all of the different roles that he embodied in the wholeness of himself, he actually started to weep, because I think he had forgotten that he wore all of those wonderful hats that brought him incredible rewards, and he had started to pigeonhole himself as only an alcoholic and had forgot to see all of the other things that he was. So at SMART, SMART does not require that you self-label. Also, they do not require that you call yourself powerless over your addiction. Instead, they ask you to discover the power of healthy choices. It's the leading self-empowerment program in the area of addiction recovery, and SMART has 4 points. Did you want me to talk about those?
Yeah, I do. But are you your focus is going like in and out, in and out? Are you doing that, or is that automatic?
Say that again?
Your focus, your camera, it's coming in really close and up and down, and
no, I'm not doing anything.
Huh, I wonder why that's happening, because, yeah, mine's just stationary, so, all right, yeah, because we're getting like a really tight shot of your forehead, and
I just changed something, maybe that'll work.
Okay, yeah, let's see, because just it's a little distracting, so hopefully we can pay attention to what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
But yeah, it seems to be okay now. So yeah, talk about the 4 points of SMART recovery. And actually, SMART is an acronym. So what does SMART stand for?
SMART stands for Self-Management and Recovery Training. And thank you for reminding me to spell out the acronym. Self-management, because it's all about realizing that your thoughts may in fact not be true. It could be a thought that's inaccurate or just wrong, or possibly unhelpful. Feelings are not facts. And sometimes feelings that you have in a particular situation may be inappropriate for the situation you're in. It may be a feeling that you had from when you were a teenager that's inappropriate for a professional situation that you're in right now. So, and certainly you can control your behavior. So when you realize that you are empowered to control your thoughts, to manage your feelings, and to manage your behavior, it gives you a whole different array of choices about how to be in the world. Self-management is that first part of the acronym, but the other part is training. It's self-management and recovery training. What do we know about what happens when people, for example, go to the gym? If you go to the gym and you start working out, it's difficult in the beginning, but with persistent effort, it gets easier. Between the difficulty and the getting easier, your muscles hurt. You find one day something may be easy, the next day all of a sudden it's difficult. You may actually sprain a muscle. But what you do over time is you train your body to be stronger. So too in the field of recovery, it's actually required for long-term sustained recovery that you strengthen your recovery muscles. And you need to give yourself the grace of time, and you need to give yourself the grace of persistent effort and small rewards, and not beating yourself up if you make a mistake along the way. And that's the training part. And obviously working with a trainer, just like at the gym, can be really, really effective. So I like to think of a recovery coach as your personal recovery trainer. So the 4 points of SMART, excuse me, are grab a hold of your motivation for why you want to change. Anytime we do something different, it's going to be a little difficult. But if you keep your eye on why you want to do it, usually there's a pretty good reason. I want to expand my professional choices. I want to re-embrace my health. I want to feel like I'm in control of me. There isn't a substance who's in control of me, etc. You grab a hold of that motivation, you're going to be able to get through some of those difficult moments. So that's point 1 of SMART. And I like to think of it as your own personal customized coffee table. Right? You got all your recovery tools on there. So the first sturdy leg of your customized coffee table is grabbing a hold of your motivation and revisiting it frequently, revisiting it often. The second sturdy leg of your own SMART coffee table, or the second point of SMART, is understand that it's normal and to be expected, that you're going to go back to, that you're going to have thoughts about going back to your old behavior. So you shouldn't think that there's something wrong with you because you have a drinking or a drugging thought. It's normal. The question is, what are you going to do about that drinking or drugging thought? Are you going to give in to it, or are you going to reach into your SMART toolbox and choose from amongst those tools and figure out how to say, I'm not going to give in. Instead, I'm going to choose this other strategy. Then the third point of SMART, the third leg of your SMART coffee table, is realizing that you can manage your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior. And we've got a whole fabulous set of tools for that. And then the fourth leg of the SMART coffee table, or the fourth point of SMART, is figuring out or revisiting what you want in a balanced, healthy lifestyle, balanced, healthy, integrated lifestyle, and building that for yourself. And that's going to look different for all of us. You know, Shira, my name on Twitter is AEP Tennis LVR, AEP Tennis Lover. Well, that's because I love tennis. I took up tennis in my 40s, and I ended up captaining a team for the USTA. So
oh my gosh,
that's part of my balanced life, right, is enjoying tennis not only as a spectator, but taking it up as a new sport. You know, for some people it's a musical instrument. For other people it's film or photography or cooking or working
or
out.
painting.
What is it for you? Is that your painting in the background? Is
Yeah,
beautiful.
thank you.
Lovely colors.
Yes, I really love them, and it's actually it makes me very, very happy. It's something that I used to do quite often, and I had juried and membered exhibitions and just stopped doing
Congratulations.
it.
Nice,
So
Shira.
so now I just do it for just soothing. It's just something I used to enjoy and stopped doing because I was drinking and I couldn't do it. And now I felt oh, and then I felt that I wasn't good enough anymore. So it took me a long time to build myself back up and to utilize whatever resources I could find, which was therapy and a psychiatrist to see if I needed medication for my depression. But it was really, I was broken and I needed help. I needed to work with someone to build myself back up. And now I'm at the point where I'm strong enough and I'm motivated enough to look for others that share my commitment to recovery. And I'm always around positive people and healthy role models, and it's really helping my confidence. And as a result, I'm painting again. So I'm very proud of myself for
That's
that.
fantastic. And that's a perfect example, Shira, what you just said. You said, I sort of can get lost in it. And when you talk to people about their passions, you know, what kinds of things they love, it could be fishing, it could be knitting, it could be painting, it could be sculpting, it could be doing pots, it could be playing tennis. I mean, there's so many different things. I would say one of the things that people have in common there is they say, I can get lost in it. I lose track of time in a good way because they're fully engaged with this activity that's bringing them some joy. And they're not spending that time. You're not painting and worrying. You're painting and you're getting lost in the colors and the beauty and the art.
Yeah, exactly. Just as just to go back to what you were saying, you have we learn a set of coping skills, and we utilize tools through coaching. And one of the things she hit on was our perception. Sometimes our perception does not match the reality of the situation. And I have been called many, many times a drama queen because, I took things completely wrong or out of context. And, it wasn't just the moment I was in. I got like a flood of residual baggage and issues that were unresolved. And it just came like a tidal wave of thought and feeling and fear. And coaches are very good at kind of just identifying that. And coaches, another great thing coaches do is we don't really give you praise like you did a really awesome job necessarily. Based on we would say more like look at the motivation that you had to accomplish your goal. So we point out very specific points, and it's just like the exercise trainer. You start building on that, and pretty soon, it's just like muscle has memory. So does your brain. So
Exactly.
yeah, so you start acknowledging for yourself through just the way we communicate, which is structured, and we do have to learn that it's not at all like talking with a friend or a sponsor. These are lessons that are given in sessions, but we do have to learn them and practice them.
And
So,
and the coach, you know, helps you keep track of what your goals were and what your intentions were, and then helps you hold yourself accountable to those goals and intentions. And if something isn't accomplished that you had set as a goal, let's say for the past week, and you are meeting with your coach, they're not going to beat you up, but they are going to help you figure out what got in the way. right? And so by helping you figure out in a helpful, strength-based way what got in the way of you getting that goal, then you're more likely to be able to pursue that goal going forward. And every time you figure out how to navigate life in a more rational, systematic, and helpful way that honors who you are as a person and keeps your eye on the prize, that's such a wonderful thing.
And when she's just mentioned, smart recovery is strength-based, and so is recovery coaching. There's a lot of wonderful overlap there. That's why I'm excited to start getting involved in smart recovery myself as a facilitator. So I'm excited about that. But it's strength-based means your strength as a client, as a person, as a human being. So we already start, our premise is that you already have intellect, resolve. You're looking to kind of learn new ways of tapping into that. So you're already coming in strong. You're not, there's no judgment in coaching. So it's really it's an awesome way to learn about yourself through hearing about yourself by talking about yourself. It's very
and setting smart goals, if you will, things that are specific, that are measurable, that are attainable, coming up with a timeline so that you can actually develop a strategy and then experience the success.
Absolutely, that's a really good point. Timeline. I write a to-do list, and if it's not on that list, then it doesn't get done. But
the other thing about coaches is we have so many tools. I mean, if I look around my my office right here, I've got so many books, I've got files, I've got notebooks. When a client comes to me, the numbers of resources that I've been able to develop and that I basically have at my fingertips are extraordinary. The average person doesn't have that. So you had mentioned earlier that you sometimes would get overwhelmed with a certain situation or a certain feeling. Well, we've got strategies for that. That's in the field of recovery coaching, that's called flooding. And we've got strategies to help people deal with flooding. And that's just one of the many, and there's more than one strategy to deal with flooding. We have ways to help people keep their eye on what's positive and divert their attention from what's negative. In our society, one of the things that I think that's often emphasized is a short-term immediate fix. Mm-hmm. And we can help people understand that delaying the feel-good for a longer-term goal can be a real investment in themselves and in their future. And we'll give them support along that journey.
I love talking with someone who has the same exact ideology as me. Like everything you say, I'm like, I totally get that. I totally believe her. I totally do that.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah,
and of course, at RCI, Recovery Coaches International, I get to work with about 100 professional coaches and newly with more peer mentor coaches who are all helping others on this journey together. And we're able, we're starting to offer support for our members. We're redoing our website. And we're going to offer CEUs for monthly training. I mean, the world is our oyster, and everything that the coach learns for themselves, they're able to pass on for their clients. So it's exciting to be sort of on the crest of this wave, as the whole field of addiction and recovery is really thriving in a new way.
Okay, explain what CEUs are.
Oh, sorry, it's continuing education units for people who are in the field. And the neat thing that I've experienced as a coach is the absolute commitment to continuing education. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I attend probably 2 or 3 seminars, either in person or on the internet every month, that help me develop my own skills as a coach, in addition to, of course, working with my own coach, which is exceedingly helpful.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. Most people that I talk to really do benefit from a coach, whether they have a PsyD or a an MD or a recovery coach, or I don't think I've talked to anyone that didn't have someone in that capacity. It's really beneficial. It really keeps me. What it does for me is just incredible. It keeps me focused. It keeps me structured, just like you said, and it definitely just keeps me going in the right direction. Because
Yes, exactly. It's like your own personal GPS system.
Oh, very good. I like that. It's your own personal GPS for the soul. I think that's actually the name of a book, so.
Is it really?
Oh, I don't know. I read a lot too. I feel like if I'm not reading a new book, then I'm just getting stupider and stupider. I read so much from CBT, and I'm learning a lot. Continuing education is so vital to my very existence. So I really do benefit quite a bit. And so,
in the field of addiction recovery, the science is just it's just exploding. So there's all kinds of new information. Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physician, but there are ways to digest that material. I mean, even things like this fabulous book, the Buddha's Brain. It gives a wonderful overview of what's going on in terms of the neuroscience of being, and helps you tap into what's going to be more helpful and more healthy for you. So sort of following what's going on in that field as it relates to recovery is fantastic.
I think with the I just read that the Say No to Drugs campaign is 30 years old, so happy birthday. But they realized that didn't work, and now we're finally. It's such an epidemic. Everyone has been affected by addiction, whether it's personally or someone that you love. So it's just it's nothing that can be remain in the background anymore. So even at a government level, people are fighting. Like, there's so many great nonprofit organizations that I'm familiar with that are really persistent in that fight to create awareness, so we can reach the level where we can actually do something about it besides incarceration. So we are at a wonderful, I agree, of course, I completely agree with you. What a shocker. But we are at such a pivotal, wonderful time in the history of addiction. We are seeing progress, we're seeing change, and a lot of us are making that happen, not only for creating that for ourselves, but collaborating with other like-minded individuals, and I call them, recovery rock stars or recovery superheroes that are working together to make a change. Because, we can't fight this individually in shame, in the corner, in the darkness and the shadows. I mean, we're all bringing it out to light. This is what's happening, and we need help, and we need government funding, and we need support. And that's what's going on. And we are right there, and we are part of those recovery warriors that are making it happen. So, I think, give us a round of applause for our efforts, because it doesn't just help us. Everyone I know that's a recovery coach, we're always talking about how to progress the entire, just the knowledge base of recovery coaching. It's not just an infomercial of I'm a coach and I'm so wonderful and this is what I can do for you for the low price of, we are.
No. In fact, certification, credentialing, and vetting people in terms of their credentials is an important piece of what's going on in the field right now. Making, it is possible for someone to hang out their shingle and not have the appropriate credentials or experience. So that's an important. Thank you for bringing that up. Really, really important. The other thing though that I wanted to say is with all of this new research and all of these new options on the menu for recovering, there also is some stuff going on that's really alarming to me. I don't know if you've seen this new film, Behind the Orange Door. I just went and screened it up in Beverly Hills a couple of weeks ago.
I know it's
And
about Orange County, the drug addiction in Orange
it's
County.
about, yeah, Orange County drug addiction amongst young people. The movie mostly focuses on people under age 30. And they also look at some people here in San Diego County. And the incidence of heroin addiction and OxyContin addiction and other pharmaceutical drugs that may or may not be obtained using legal means, or may be obtained by unscrupulous physicians who are overprescribing. I mean, there are all kinds of ways that can happen. This is a real epidemic amongst our young people. So it's very, very important. You were just talking about shame and stigma, that those of us who feel comfortable being talking about this openly encourage others to do that as well. Because the more that we can talk about these things openly without shame, that we can acknowledge that in our community this is something that we all have touched someone, either ourselves or a loved one or someone in our friendship circle, the more that we can state that and accept that reality and then be part of the solution instead of being part of a silence that keeps it in shame and keeps it in stigma, the more that we're going to be able to combat these tragedies in our communities across the country.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. I'm so involved in my little recovery world, and I was talking to two lovely people. They were older people yesterday at a restaurant, and somehow we started talking about AAA. And my frame of reference is so recovery. I'm like horse with blinders on with it. It's so comfortable. Instead of saying AAA, I said AA. Yeah, and I was like, well, I'm comfortable with it, but you know, it just like came out of nowhere. I just said AA.
Too funny.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
you could think about AAA as as emergency roadside service, and for many people, AA is emergency recovery service.
it really
So
is, but it was just so funny. Like, I mean, no take backs there, but I do I am very happy where I'm at, and you know, I want to tell people too. You know, just because I always am you know, down with the stigma and up with the recovery people. You know, it's still uncomfortable for me to just to be so open about it. And
is it?
yeah, I mean, I'm relatively new. I don't have 30 years under my belt, so you know, just trying to um, I re-identify myself as who I am, my core, and then have this other label attached with me, or this other, you know, aspect. I call it a facet. Like, we're all diamonds, and everything is a facet. You know, your happiness, your addiction, your recovery. You know, it makes you this beautiful, brilliant being. And but still, you know, I just want people to know it's not easy to fight ignorance, and it's not easy to feel tolerated and not celebrated sometimes, or to make feel. I live in wine country. Right across the street, I could take my laptop outside. There's 6 wineries right across the street. So it is not such a conducive environment to talk about, you know, the realities of the DUIs I hear about and see, or driving behind someone who's obviously been to too many tastings. You know, because that's we're a tourist generated economy here. So they don't come to see me. You know, they come to Sonoma to enjoy the wine and the vineyards and the you know, the opportunity just to see this beautiful part of California. So you know, it's I just want people to know it's not just so easy, but I do it, and that's, you know, that's the important part. I still do it, even if it makes people uncomfortable, which is ironic to me, because I would think I would feel uncomfortable, but they actually feel uncomfortable. So it's just, you know, it's an interesting dynamic, and since we are on the cusp of all of this paradigm shifting, I think, these are things that are happening, and just wanted to put it out there. Doing the right thing for yourself, it's not always easy, but it's necessary. And that's the thing you were talking about with the, instant gratification versus long-term.
Enduring satisfactions. Yeah.
Exactly.
And in this culture where we can just tweet and be on Facebook and get texts and all of that, I think it's easy to become accustomed to and even have an expectation for immediate response. But that is something that you can wean yourself from, and you can start to enjoy quiet, long conversations with friends. You can give yourself the gift of reading a book, of watching a film that's not, slam, bam, explosion, etc. And the other thing that occurs to me, Shira, about what you were just saying is the focus on recovery. That's really normative as well for a period of time for a lot of people. But the neat thing when you understand, and recovery coaches do, about the stages of change is when someone's been in recovery for quite a period and they're no longer in action, they're not having to pay attention to their sobriety, to their recovery, it just is part of who they are. They're no longer in a place where they really need to talk about it all the time. They may or may not be going to regular meetings when they get out of action and they're in long-term into maintenance. So, I think sometimes people think that if you're in recovery, that's who you are now. But you are all of the ways that, you are still an employee, you are still a family member, you are still involved in your community, you're doing your sports, you're doing whatever else you are. Your entire life is not recovery oriented. Your life is back to yours. Right? It's not all before the drugs or alcohol, your life wasn't, sort of all about pre-drugs and pre-alcohol. When you were in the drugs and alcohol, it starts to be all about the drugs and alcohol. But when you're in early sobriety, it feels like it's all about not doing the drugs and alcohol. But as you get beyond that, life is so full and rich. It's not all about recovery. It's just about a full, balanced, integrated life.
Good point. Good point. Because I remember when I first thought about when I was in the pre-contemplative, contemplative stages of the trans-theoretical model stages of change, which I love, love, love. That's another thing recovery coaches have in common with Smart Recovery. We both utilize that model. I thought, I'm going to be so bored. I'm just going to sit around. I'm not that into TV. I'm like, how much TV can I watch? I'm going to be all alone. And it's like, I've never been busier, since I've been doing what I'm doing. And I just happen to, and you're right, that's a good point, because I have to watch myself. I get so caught up in recovery. I really am like a horse in blinders with blinders on, and that's not healthy necessarily all the time. That's why I'm glad I have my painting and I read. But I'm in constant work in progress, and I've allowed myself that opportunity, which I did not allow myself while I was drinking. So,
and Shira, you're right. The recovery coaches really help people embrace that whole aspect of their lives. It's a holistic approach. So I'm thinking of one of the tools that I use when I'm doing an assessment with a client. I'll look at the Wheel of Life or the Tree of Life. I have a couple of different versions, and you're really talking to people about where they are in terms of their general state of being, their health, their financial life, their professional life, their academic life, their relationships. And then we compare where they are to where they want to be. And we look at the disparity. Typically there is a disparity. And so in seeing how the wheel, their own wheel of life may be sort of disjointed or out of balance, then we can figure out in what area do they need to pull back, on what lobe do they need to improve. You're always looking for that. You're helping people look for that sense of balance as they define it for themselves, not as we define it for them.
That is the most important point, I think. I can say that it resonates with me. And I love that wheel. I love that balance wheel. When I first saw that, I was like, I just like, I like to see a visualization of what I was doing, to see how off kilter I was.
Isn't that helpful?
It is. I mean, most of us are such visual learners, but when I saw that wheel and then I saw how low I was in some areas and how high I was in some areas, I was like, can you imagine trying to put that on your car and drive anywhere? It's like, colon, 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 colon.
Yeah, it's like, oopsie daisy.
Yeah, but I love that. I love that visual. It really makes it's an instant hit because it's just so right there, and it's very simple, and it's simple in its message, but it's profound for change.
Yeah, I mean, I have clients who are moved to tears regularly when doing that wheel, because it's a visual representation of what they've been carrying around, often in secret, in their hearts and in their minds. And being able to see it, acknowledge it, and document it, then gives you information upon which you can then act, instead of feeling sort of stuck, instead of feeling like I don't know what's going on, because there's so much going on. It gives you clarity, and with clarity you can then pause, you can breathe, you can consider, you can digest, and then with intention you can decide how you want to move forward.
Exactly. And I love how recovery coaches ask questions to make the client think. And the client is making all of their own choices. It's the agenda is solely the client's agenda. There's no, like I said, there's no judgment. Whatever the values are important to the client, that's what is worked on. So, it doesn't matter if, someone comes from a mansion or, an apartment, or they were once homeless. It's just, we work where, not only where they're at, like everyone should, I think, but it's whatever your values are, to get that wheel balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a really important point, because we don't have any intentions in the world besides to help you see yourself for who you really are and what you're capable of, to see your progress, to see your, what your motivation is leading to, and how far removed you are from, your past, and the areas that you want to change.
That's one of the neat things about working with a coach, is often I think we're so hard on ourselves. Mm-hmm. I remember I would make a little mistake and I would say to myself, oh, what an idiot, what a stupid idiot. And that's not something I would say to almost anyone else, but I would very easily say it to myself. A coach will help catch you in that, and then we'll ask you if that's really what you meant to say. Your coach will ask you, is that how you would talk to your best friend? Is that how you would talk to your
dog?
Or even to your pet, right?
I would call my cat retarded, but I used to say that when I used to make mistakes. I'm like, God, I'm so retarded. It's not even politically correct. It's not really, I didn't mean to offend anybody. It's like, I'm just doubting myself, people. Don't give me any crap.
Well, yeah. So we know that as human beings that our brains are wired for language, and we know that language is a powerful, powerful tool that we can use to be helpful or to keep us stuck or back in the past. So whenever you can have someone who is on your team, working with you in partnership, because really that's what the coach does, is they join you as your partner. It's a partnership experience. They can reflect back, if you say something like that, they can reflect that right back to you and give you a reality check and help you figure out how to reframe things in ways that are more positive or more accurate, certainly more accurate. The other thing is, how often, Shira, I'm wondering, do you do a whole bunch of accomplish a whole bunch of things, and then you just forget about it because you're on to the next stuff, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not accomplishing what I want. But you forget to pat yourself on the back for the things that you've been working really hard on that you've actually brought to fruition. Just this past week, my coach said to me, Ashley, I want you to look at all that you have accomplished in the last 6 months. She said, I want you to take an hour, not in our coaching session, but as homework, and I want you to make a list of every single thing that occurs to you, from small to medium to big, even to huge, that you have accomplished. And she said, don't forget the small stuff. And I started making a list of all of the things that I've been working on in my own life, in my relationship with my clients, with the organizations for which I'm a volunteer. And it made me feel so much better about myself to just take a moment and realize that I really have been putting out a lot of effort, and there has been quite a bit of positive results that's come out of that. I would never have thought to do that if she hadn't suggested it, and if I didn't know that I was going to report back to her. I might have challenged myself to do it, but then I would have said, oh, I already know, right? But in fact, I didn't know. When I made the list, I had completely forgotten so many of these things, and they're important.
They're very important. For some reason, we are, I think, out of politeness, we are trained or taught to be humble. Like, don't be a braggart. Don't boast about yourself. Don't, it's like, but we are so fast to criticize ourselves.
Very fast to bring out those self-deprecating remarks. And you're right. I think in some ways it's a cultural norm that we're not supposed to give ourselves a pat on the back. But if I know nothing else about early recovery, it's that helping people gain a sense of clarity and helping them gain that clarity consistently over time is really key. And the other thing is giving them the space to pat themselves on the back, and to also to get that kind of feedback from other people is just exceedingly helpful for self-growth.
I think it's essential. We have to see the little buildings, just like, and it's to build a structure. This takes little bricks at a time. But
right.
If you don't have those little bricks, it's in a strong foundation. The building's gonna collapse. So
think about learning to ride a bicycle. You don't get on a bike and just start going down the street, right? There are a lot of false starts and gaining your balance. I mean, it's a good visual. Think about, I remember as a girl learning to ice skate. For me, as a 40-year-old, learning to play tennis, and I had never played a competitive sport like that. It required a whole different skill set. You don't just think, I want to play tennis, and then go out and play, right? You have to learn how to hold the racket, and how to return the ball, and how to return it from this point, and how to use your feet. It requires a lot of coordination. So too does giving up a drug or a drink, and then getting back to the business and the enjoyment of life. It requires practice.
The exercise, I've never been one to exercise. I mean, I really thought it was like it's just a genetic predisposition. Like, I have people in my family that are alcoholics, and we don't have that exercise gene. So when I started recovery, I said, I'm going to start doing exercise and, and create my own patterns in my own direction. So I started roller derby. And it was really fun, and I am so out of shape. I was out of breath. I thought I was going to die. I felt like Demi Moore on that movie G.I. Jane, and I was just like, I was just doing it for an hour a week, and I'm like, I'm dying. And
that's so funny.
I stopped doing it because I was scared. You have to sign a release waiver saying, like, if you break anything, they're not held accountable, which I understand that, but then I was like, ooh, I don't heal as fast as I used to. But
I hope you're wearing a helmet, Shira.
Oh, I am. I mean, I'm like, elbow pads, but like, if you fall, someone could like literally stomp on you because you're in such tight formation. So it's like a domino effect. So anyway, I'm scared, and I have these, really awesome derby skates and extra wheels, and I
How
just
fun.
yeah, so I'm really missing it though. I don't know if I want to be all competitive because I am scared to hurt myself, but I do miss it. And I was getting so toned so fast. I was like, oh, which
That's so neat.
yeah, that's always good. So I am mulling it over as we speak. I think about it every day. I'm like, yeah, I'd like to go out there and go roller skating, and but
It's interesting that you bring something up as outrageous and fun as that competitive sport of roller derby, because I think another one of the things that people fear about recovery is that there's never going to be any fun, laughter, or sort of deep passion again, and that's a big fear for a lot of people. So
yeah, I had
hearing
it.
real people share their stories of either refinding something that they had passion about from the past or discovering something for the first time is really important. It's really, really important.
One of the benefits, I mean, gosh, there's so many benefits, and I don't want to get on that whole soapbox because I can't very easily. Like, I'm going to actually make myself like a little wooden
A little
crate,
soapbox.
a little wooden crate, and just put soapbox and just stand on it once in a while because that's
That's
how I
cute.
feel. Yeah, take my picture. Like, here's Cher on her soapbox again. But I mean, of course, you hear all these, and I don't want to sound like some preacher or born again anything, but there are so many awesome things um, that I just feel so innately happy with myself. Like my painting. There was a time where I really thought that was just something I used to be good at, and that time is come and gone. Like your Olympic life. You have like a certain
Mhm.
amount of time, and that's like I thought about my painting. And I was really convinced I didn't paint for a long time because I didn't want to look stupid, and I didn't want people to say she thinks she can paint, and that's awful. And I was so weighed down with like what other people thought, and self doubt, and it was exhausting. It was heavy. It was a very heavy load and burden to carry. And as I started to get away from that kind of mindset through the help and support of other people, we do not succeed or fail in a vacuum, people. That's my final thought. You need help to succeed and to fail. So use that energy and strength to succeed, of course.
And Cher, one of my favorite quotes is Maya Angelou: "Do your best until you know better, and when you know better, do better."
Yeah, isn't
Right?
that on your website?
It is.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
love that quote. I mean, some of them, because I am like OCD. I swear, my psychiatrist always says no, you're not, but I'm like, I really think I am, and you don't know what you're talking about. But I am on Facebook like a little too much, and I see all of these great like daily affirmations. They're kind of recycled, and I always see them. I always say I see them when I need to see them, and then
Isn't that wonderful?
yeah, and then when I saw yours, I was like, that's so true. I love Maya Angelou. She said like you'll never be as important as the ocean, and that came at the perfect time because I thought like I was the greatest thing since
It
sliced
helps you
bread.
keep yourself in perspective. But I
Absolutely.
love the idea of doing better, of doing your best, and then giving yourself room to grow and to
Mhm.
do better. So we don't expect that you're going to do better until you know better. But when you know better, go ahead and act on it. Add that action piece and act on that knowledge. And that's what helps us all meet and create a better world.
Absolutely. And we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves. Just to like reiterate a little bit, we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves when we give our friends and our family members, and we give everybody else so much slack, but when it comes to ourselves, I mean, it's like, I did it wrong. It's like, just give yourself a break. I mean, I say things that I've actually said something I don't know, it was such an obvious, simple thing, but I was a little nervous. So instead of saying recovery, I said addiction or an addict. Like I like the easiest basic stuff for me. I switched them. And I realized I said it, and I just kept on going. It's like, because I'm like, I can't keep thinking about it. It's gonna start tripping me up, and then
Not helpful.
yeah, then I'll act more. I'll be more nervous, and then screw up more. And it's just like keep moving. And I don't even think they notice, But for me, it was like the spotlights were on me, and like all these people were paying attention, and the music stopped. It's like no one cared. I mean, no one even, I don't even think they noticed. And I was like, so I was so happy just to be like, okay, in that moment of like fear, I was like, okay, it's not just keep going, you can do it, and
Yeah, I heard another quote, and I have no idea who said this or if someone, if it's just a quick aside, but it seems relevant here. Sometimes a stumble helps keep you from a fall.
absolutely. I
So
mean,
looking at minor missteps as a warning and then just proceeding forward, in other words, that might have helped you watch your words more carefully in that moment. But the fact that you didn't turn it into a fall, you were able to learn from that little misstep, give yourself a little mental reminder, and then proceed forward. Yay, Shira. Good job.
absolutely, absolutely. So I want to just bring this to a close. We started a little late, and that's okay. I'm learning this Google Hangouts format, and I just want to
Congratulations on your show.
thank you. It's this is I think the fourth one. We had a bonus one with Dr. Jamie Marriage, but yeah, they're every Friday, and we're getting a lot of great interest. And please help spread the word. I have to tell everyone
Absolutely.
that. We are a little lemonade stand, one woman show here, but I want this to be a community resource. So it is for the community, by the community, but we need the community to support us and to know that we're around. So besides doing the addiction show, um, which is every Friday, 12 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and if you happen to be in London, it's 7 hours later. And I like that I actually know people in London that makes sense to say. So
I'll be introducing your show over there soon.
I can't wait. I can't wait. And what I do also as a profession is I also, like she said, I'm a recovery coach. And I wanted to just put that out there that I do online recovery coaching with people. And I'm going to read my little collateral that I wrote. For many people interested in recovery, attending a meeting, for example, is not a comfortable prospect. So for those going from ambivalence to contemplation, to take such a step in public might be a little risky. So online recovery coaching provides a safe haven to those that might be uncomfortable in a group setting, but they are, because they're private individuals, or maybe they're public figures, or movie stars. I don't have any of those yet, but I might soon. They don't want the additional stress early in recovery to feel like they're being outed, or there is still stigma around it. So it is a really awesome alternative to work with a recovery coach, because you can do it on the phone, and you can do it just like this. Through the internet, using Skype, Google Hangouts. Those are the two that I like the best. And so it's a healthy alternative. And my favorite quote I like to leave off, and I was thinking of, I'm doing this huge painting. It's 48 inches by 60 inches.
Wow.
So it's huge, and it's a new start. I painted over a painting, and I'm looking for a quote. And my favorite quote currently is actually on my business cards, is by Albert Einstein. And it's a little gem I like to leave you with for the weekend. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity.
Love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, whatever you think, it's the end of the world, and every problem that affects you, that causes you stress. Of course, it feels that way, but usually usually not. And you live another day. So, Ashley, where can we go to find you and to get more information about you, or if someone wants to use your services and gets to have you as a recovery coach, where would they do that?
So people can find me online. I have a website. It's Ashley, Ashley, E. Phillips, Phillips, www.ashleyephillips.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. On Twitter, I'm AEP Tennis LVR, AEP Tennis Lover. And I'm on Facebook as well. So I welcome people's calls at 858-337-2070. And I also see people via phone, Skype, and FaceTime, as well as in person here in North San Diego County.
How does FaceTime work? I don't have Mac stuff. I'm a PC person. So how does that work? Is it better? I've heard it's better than Skype.
FaceTime?
Yeah.
I just do that on my iPhone with clients who can't access Skype at work, for example.
Mhm. But I mean, as far as technically, have you had any problems or?
I have not.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that, but I'm thinking. Click, click, click,
Good.
click, click. Yeah. So, well, Ashley, you've been such a pleasure, and I would love to have you back on the show. I'm looking
Great.
for.
Maybe in June. We've already got a date.
Yeah, I really want someone who's kind of a touchstone, and I think you just might be that person. So we'll check back with you in June, and the show will be available in about 5 minutes from now on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe to that every Friday. They're uploaded right after the show. So that is youtube.com/the1addictionshow.com. Easy breezy, beautiful. All right. Take care. For those of you that are contemplating recovery, tomorrow is 420. So, yeah, so just be cool out there, people. But not too cool.
Thanks, Shira. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too. Thank you so much. You've been an ultimate pleasure.
Thanks, Shira. Bye-bye.
Bye.